Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Now I've been mulling this over for a little while. I didn't want to make another rash video and tempers are frailing. The Xbox community is in complete tatters. Xbox can see this, Phil can see this. I'm pretty sure he's not happy about the condition they're in. Xbox, the community has gone into it with each other. The media is running rampant with this, trying to now claim every single game is going on there. Now, I'm pretty sure, without me actually delving into and exposing anything, some of this information was probably leaked on purpose. I mean, it doesn't take too much of far stretch of the imagination to assume this, because there is a faction within Microsoft that is 100% against this ideal. There is the other faction inside Microsoft who sees the big money and wants that money. Now you can tell, it's obvious which side is which, right? Sarah, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, they are for the Xbox community, whereas Satya Nadella, Tim Stewart, Amy, they are for the big bucks. So why did this all come along? This has clearly been brewing for a while. ABK was the catalyst for this. And when they saw that Xbox made roughly about 6-7% for growth in the financial year, and then ABK comes along and sets them to 49%, and that's a 43% increase just because they put their titles multi-platform. Satya Nadella, Tim Stewart, they saw dollars, and as far as they're concerned, they want more of that for their investors. They want more of that for themselves because it gives them a bigger payout. It makes them more money. And obviously, Xbox has had a rough time, but now that they've finally got, the studios they need, the teams they need, and they've gotten a stride where they can come out with 4 games a year, now's going to be the time that you actually decide to call things. But there's reasons for this, but now's the time you're going to actually go and do this. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm pretty sure that Phil and Sarah and Matt are fighting for this to not happen. Now, clearly, if Satya Nadella, Tim Stewart, and Amy turn around and say X, Y, and Z is going to happen, it's going to be a bit of a battle. And I think the delay in a full response is because they are still fighting this through. Now, here's my take on this. I think until it's confirmed, nothing is confirmed. That is one thing. If you look at the way the media is actually presenting this, they are presenting this as, and I quote, especially with The Verge, they are considering bringing Gears of War. They are considering bringing X, Y, and Z. They are considering bringing ABC. They are considering, it's all considering. Nothing that's being reported is they are delivering this, right? Nothing that is coming has been. The only one that they've semi-confirmed is Starfield. And even that, I don't believe until I hear it. And, coming from them. Now, a lot of this information is obviously going to, be baited in, and it's going to rile up Xbox, fans. And I'm seeing a lot of the Xbox community now, like, going at each other, and now's not the time for that. Get your voices heard, let them know what you think. At the end of the day, what we're doing right now is very important. It goes a long way. It may not actually, well, in fact, it might not mean jack shit in the grand scheme of things, but at least we are getting our voices heard. Now, the question keeps rising up. If they put everything over on PlayStation, well, what's the point in owning an Xbox? It's a valid point. At the same time, if these titles do go over to PlayStation, Phil would have lied about everything he promised. How can you trust someone like him ever again? Now, this is going to stain Phil's legacy more than anything. This is why I don't believe, despite Phil being a businessman, he's not an idiot. He doesn't want to be tainted, his legacy to be tainted. He's known as the guy that saved Xbox. He's known as the guy that brought the community back together. And for him to systematically break it, it doesn't add up. Even from a business sense, I get it. But he hasn't even given the Xbox brand a chance to actually succeed. Now, my personal opinion, next gen or the gen after will probably be the final time we actually see a physical console. I think we've got maybe 1 or 2 gens left in us, and this will probably apply to PlayStation as well. But, It's clear here that the media is fishing. There's also information being pushed out within Microsoft to contacts to try and raise the alarm bells, to try and raise commotion, to try and raise, debates about why this is bad. And there are implications for this that could actually hurt the gaming industry quite badly, right? If all the games from Xbox decide to go to PlayStation day and date, this is a hypothetical right now, PlayStation is going to be the console to have. There's no reason to own an Xbox. The moment that happens, what stops Sony saying, right, as of the PlayStation 6, games are going to cost £120. My console, for the base version, I'm going to release 2 versions of my console. The base version is $1,000. The Pro version, I'm releasing same time, 1,500. What is stopping them from doing that? They've got no competition. Nintendo? Nah, they're not competition. Nintendo do their own thing. They're that weird child in the corner that does what they want. I mean, in a really weird way with the FTC trying, they were saying that by Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, they would actually be hampering competition. I don't think the FTC really thought this far ahead, where if Microsoft decided to go down this route, they would absolutely obliterate competition and there would be no competition. It would just be a monopoly with PlayStation who can do what the hell they like. And that's the future that potentially awaits us as gamers. That's a scary, scary thought, right? But pushing that aside as well, as of right now, there are multiple ways this can go. They can come out and say, we've heard you, we've heard the discourse, we've heard everything. We are still going to do a case-by-case basis. Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves is going to go. Smaller titles will go because we need to recoup some of that money. If Hi-Fi Rush didn't make enough to make money back, well, putting that title on something else like Psychonauts, did it sell well? I genuinely don't know. But if it didn't, pushing that title out to other platforms in a bid to recover the sales is maybe something they're looking at. Because at the end of the day, if they don't recover those sales, people are going to lose their jobs. And I think I speak for everyone. People don't want people to lose their jobs. So there's that, right? So with the smaller titles. Secondly, why have they got into this position? Because they went day and date with PC. It's that simple. If Starfield was coming to Xbox only, and the only way to play Starfield was on the Xbox platform, and it was, instead of splitting your time between the PC, the Series S, and the Series X, and you only had the Series X to work on, maybe they could have had that running at 60 FPS and actually optimized better. Because right now, every time they're building a game, they're working on 3 SKUs. And if you're looking at PC, you're looking at probably 4 or 5 SKUs there as well for different settings. So it's a much bigger thing. When you look at PlayStation, they're building it for one specification only. When you look at the Switch, one specification only. On Xbox, it's like 10 different specs that they're working on. Get rid of the PC, make the console the center point, and if people want to play those Xbox games, you buy a goddamn fucking Xbox. That simple. But that's not the way they went. And because that isn't the way they went, well, they cannibalized their own console sales immediately when they decided that they're going to expand to PC and cloud. That was always going to happen. And this is why I've always said that third-party exclusives on the console only, released for 6 months exclusivity, then branches over to PC for another 6 months before it goes to everywhere else like the Switch or the PS5 after a year. But here is where things can get interesting. ZeniMax and ABK are third-party studios. They are first-party now within Microsoft. I think what's going to happen, because we're seeing like Gears of War is being considered, Halo is being considered. It's all being considered. Nothing is coming out saying it is happening, this is coming, this is one of the titles that they want to bring to PlayStation. That's not being said here. And that messaging is really important, because that's the messaging that's coming out from Microsoft to stir trouble, to stir frustration, and to get these heated conversations happening, to get people riled up, because the people that are against this whole idea don't want this happening, and they need the backlash that's coming from the community right now to pile a bit more pressure on, for them to go to the execs and say, hey, if you continue down this route, They're just going to cancel their Game Pass subscriptions, and then what you're going to have? Everything that you've built within that infrastructure gone. Of course, at that point, it could backfire, and Satya Nadella could say, fine, then we'll just go full third party. Will he do that? It's possible. I think it's unlikely because of how much money they've already invested into the cloud and the infrastructure that they have. Now, what I think will happen is that ABK games going forward will probably remain multi-platform indefinitely. And if you're looking at ZeniMax games, there's a good chance that those games will remain multi-plat indefinitely. But what won't go multi-plat is the Xbox Game Studios titles. So if Microsoft goes and buys another studio, like say Atlas, and it absorbs that in to Microsoft Game Studios, that will remain exclusive on the console. Now, does this mean that Microsoft won't be able to do, extra stuff for, let's say, Starfield 2 comes out, and they're like, hey, Starfield 2 has like an extra faction that you can go to, an extra mission you can do. It's got more ship builds manufacturers, but the PlayStation version has this version. Pretty much how, Sony has been doing Call of Duty, where they get more stuff, the way they did Hogwarts Legacy, where they got an extra mission. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. I think that's going to be the direction this goes, because I think Satya Nadella will probably be happy with that, at least keeping ABK multi-plat. Now, this obviously raises another issue with the games going to Game Pass day and date. All first-party games, as promised, are supposed to go day and date. Now there's word that Call of Duty won't be coming to Game Pass day and date. It may never come to Game Pass day and date because it's just too big of a title to hit Game Pass day and date, and they would lose an enormous amount of money if it did. Now, this would probably work in the same way, right? If ABK became its own little studio, and then ZeniMax became their own little studio within the ecosystem of Xbox, then those, even though they're first party, they would probably be excluded. Now, obviously, a lot of people were following the ABK trial. They were expecting a return on this investment. And, I hear that. I totally do. And it's really sad that after everything that has happened, everything that has transpired, Microsoft as an Xbox platform did not get the chance to flourish. They didn't get the chance to show what they can do. The executives saw that 43%, and all they saw was dollars, all they saw was money, and they want more of it because they don't give a shit. All they care about is money. Satya, Tim, and Amy, all they care about is money. Now, I don't believe for a second that Phil, Sarah, and Matt are that way, right? I just don't believe they are. That doesn't make sense to me. So next week, we're going to find out what their business plan is. I think this is a real possibility of what could happen. The alternative to this, it would be one other possible solution that's going through my mind, is that a watered down version, Game Pass PS and Game Pass Switch, will be created, where only select ZeniMax and select ABK games will be put on there. And then those will appear on a subscription model within their platform for them to go and pick up. Now, that I can also see happening, right? That can also happen. However, if they decide that they're going to go and start putting Halo, Gears of War, Forza, and, Hellblade 2, these titles that are within the Microsoft Game Studios circle over to other platforms, that will be pretty much game over. There's nothing Phil or anyone can say that's going to stop Xbox gamers outside of the fact that, hey, you've still got Game Pass, you've still got a console, but not all games will be going day and day. At that point, I expect that price of Game Pass to come down, because if it doesn't, it's lost value instantly. Because at this point, what you're going to be asking is, hey, there's a first-party game there. Is it coming day and day? Right now, you know that if it's first-party, It's day and date. So will those Microsoft, this is a big problem and one that needs to be addressed. And I'm hoping next week they will address this, because this is obviously an issue. Now, I get that he's saying we're listening, we hear you. That's fine. But I really want them to hear us. If the solution is to, for all we know that this is coming from the FTC trial, does anyone actually know, if you do reach out to me, what the FTC trial is currently ongoing and how it's doing? Because I can't find any information on it. Nothing at all. It's almost like it's closed behind doors and there's no access to it. But if this is the way Microsoft are looking to appease the FTC and just tell them to fuck off and leave us the fuck alone, we will divest the company, we will divest ABK, and just let ABK release stuff multi-platform, and then do the same with ZeniMax. And then what Microsoft will do going forward is, instead of buying publishers, they will just go and buy studios. And at the end of the day, if they buy studios, they absorb those into Microsoft Game Studios. And when they absorb them into Microsoft Game Studios, no one can say anything. Those games and those studios that release those games remain exclusive to Xbox. And what they need to do at that point, since they're changing the rules of Game Pass, at that point, they change the rules for PC as well. If they want to sell consoles, they have to change the rule for PC. It's that simple. They have to do it. Otherwise, there's no reason for, they still cannibalize their own console. Now, if they don't care about the console and they still want that ecosystem to continue the way it is right now, PC day and date, game, console day and date, cloud day and date, then that's something that they're going to have to decide and see how they want to go forward. But this is how I think it's going to play out. It's going to be either they're going to split ZeniMax and ABK just to remove the pressure from Microsoft, well, from Xbox, and then have the Xbox go back to what it was with its 20 studios and, basically publish games exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. But, that comes with its own problems, like I said. You want to attract people to the console because that will sell Game Pass. That's the only way you're going to sell Game Pass. That is your primary source of selling Game Pass. But at the moment you start to dilute it and put it on Steam, you're not selling Game Pass. Simple as that. But at the same time, they could be doing PlayStation and Switch specific Game Pass subscriptions, where the subscription itself will be going over to those platforms. On the Switch, it would be a cloud-based, guaranteed 100% without a shadow of doubt, because I cannot run the games. On PlayStation, it will probably be cloud, or if they are going to port them over in order to be able for you to be able to download, it's still going to be through Game Pass, and they will have to sign up to Game Pass in order to get those games. It's not going to be a direct purchase. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're going to discuss this more in depth tomorrow during, well, today, I guess, because it's like, 2:30 in the morning for me right now when I'm doing this. And yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm sorry this video went on for too long. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling about this. That's how I'm seeing this. And I think that's where this is going. I think the discourse in Microsoft right now is still ongoing. They don't have a response to give us. They're at a stalemate where one side is saying yes, the other side is saying no. And I think, honestly, leaking this information, the media was probably told to write it in this way, where they're considering this and considering that and considering this and considering that, just to rile up people more, to get people more heated, to get people more, invested, and just to speak out more. Because if they go day and date to other platforms, you absolutely murder the Xbox brand. But like I've said all along, until it's officially announced, there's too much of this wording here and wording there that just doesn't work for me. If these leaks were real, then they would say this is coming 100% without a shadow of doubt. They're not saying that. They're saying it's being considered to be coming. I mean, you can consider bringing God of War to Xbox. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. You can consider bringing Mario Wonders to Xbox. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. You can consider bringing McDonald's and having it cook on your Xbox grill. It's not going to happen. Well, actually, it depends if they release a grill. But you get the point I'm trying to say. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of misinformation, and you know, the PlayStation fans are running wild with this right now, saying they want everything. And you know, I've seen it multiple times through multiple people. They're going to do it. They're lapping this up. But until next week, I think everyone should just hold the line. They should stay firm, stay strong, stop fighting with each other, stop, you know, breaking, you know, relationships, because I'm seeing that happening. Just wait and hear what Phil Spencer has to say next week. Because when that happens, if you like it, great. If you don't, be on your merry way, and that is it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing else that we can do. All we can do is get our voices out there and put our points across. But in the end, the final buck stops within the company. And we just need to do our part to let them know that we do not want this. But one final question for you before I head off. If that was the case, where ABK, I know it just came in and it's now being divested, and ZeniMax became split as well, but anything within the Microsoft Game Studios and any studios that Microsoft bought to add to their studio list would remain exclusive. That anything from ZeniMax or ABK would be multiplat, with the notion that Xbox would get the better version of those games because it would get exclusive content because Microsoft owns them. Would that be something you're happy with? Would that be something that you'd be accepting? And obviously, those games having been divested would probably be on a case-by-case basis if they would come to Game Pass. Everything within Microsoft Game Studios would be on Game Pass, but everything outside of that barrier would probably be on a game-by-game basis. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're going to discuss this tomorrow, well, later today anyway, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's it. Thanks so much. Remain legend. Peace out.